Very good evening to all of you. Welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha Television. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you all the big stories from India and across the world. So let us start with the news bulletin. And in some other news, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday visited West Bengal and Odisha to review the situation arising out of cyclone Amphan.
Prime Minister Modi first visited West Bengal, which has suffered the most due to the cyclone. The Prime Minister and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, along with State Governor Jagdeep Dhankar, conducted an aerial survey of the affected regions to take stock of the trail of destruction left by the severe cyclonic storm Amphan in the state. Prime Minister Modi surveyed the large-scale devastation at Minakha, Namkhana, Hingalgunj, Gosaba, Bashirhat and vast areas of the Sundarbans. Thereafter, the Prime Minister chaired a meeting of all senior officers of the state and central governments to review the relief and rehabilitation measures being undertaken in West Bengal. The Prime Minister also announced an advance interim financial assistance of 1,000 crore rupees for immediate relief activities to the state of West Bengal. The Prime Minister also announced 2 lakh rupees compensation to the families of the victims killed in storm-related incidents.
तत्काल एक टीम आएगी और वो टीम इन सभी क्षेत्रों में सर्वे करेगी और हम मिल की घड़ी में राज्य सरकार को कठिनाई न हो, इसके लिए एक एडवांस असिस्टेंस के रूप में 1,000 करोड़ रुपया भारत सरकार की तरफ से व्यवस्था की जाएगी। साथ साथ केंद्र सरकार, राज्य सरकार और हम सबकी संवेदनाएं हैं और इस संकट की घड़ी में हम उनके साथ हैं।
Expressing his complete solidarity with the people of West Bengal, Prime Minister Modi assured them that the central government would extend all possible assistance to the state government for restoration and rebuilding of the infrastructure in the affected areas. Prime Minister Narendra Modi began the second leg of his visit as he reached Odisha and undertook an aerial survey of the affected areas in the state to review the aftermath of Cyclone Amphan. After conducting the aerial survey, Prime Minister Modi held a review meeting with senior officials and ministers of the state in Bhubaneswar. State Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik, Union Ministers Dharmendra Pradhan and Pratap Sarangi were also present. The Prime Minister announced an advance relief package of 500 crore rupees for Odisha. He also assured that the central government would help Odisha to come out of this crisis.
गांव तक नागरिकों को क्या करना है ऐसे संकट के समय, इसकी भली भांति जानकारी होने के कारण यहाँ जीवन बचाने में बहुत बड़ी सफलता मिली है। राज्य सरकार ने भी विस्तार से मेरे सामने सारी बातें रखी हैं। यहाँ की सरकार की व्यवस्था की तरफ से बहुत ही जल्द उसका आकलन करके रिपोर्ट भारत सरकार को मिलेगी। भारत सरकार की टीम भी तत्काल यहाँ पहुँचेगी और पूरी परिस्थिति का रिव्यू कर करके लंबे समय के लिए रिलीफ हो, रिस्टोर करने की बात हो, रिहेबिलिटेशन की बात हो, इन सारी चीज़ों को प्राथमिकता देते हुए काम आगे बढ़ाया जाएगा। लेकिन तब भारत सरकार की तरफ से 500 करोड़ रुपया एडवांस व्यवस्था के रूप में देने का हमने निर्णय किया है।
President Ramnath Kovind also expressed sorrow over the huge loss of lives and property in the two states. In a telephonic conversation with the Governor and Chief Minister of West Bengal, the President inquired about the situation following the large-scale destruction caused by Cyclone Amphan. President Kovind also spoke with the Governor and Chief Minister of Odisha and expressed concern about the well-being of the people in the wake of devastation caused by the cyclone. The President conveyed to them that the nation stands united in supporting the affected people in every possible way in this hour of crisis.
In some other news, the Reserve Bank of India on Friday cut its repo rate by 40 basis points for the second time this year to counter the economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. In a major relief for borrowers, the Apex Bank also extended the moratorium for the repayment of loans by another 3 months till August this year. Here are all the details. Loan EMIs are all set to get cheaper. The RBI's Monetary Committee cut the repo rate by 40 basis points to 4% and the reverse repo rate by 40 basis points to 3.35%. The 40 BPS cut in reverse repo rate, the interest rate that the RBI offers to banks for funds parked with the central bank, will prompt banks to make available funds for productive sectors of the economy. However, the GDP growth for FY21 is expected to be in the negative territory. Headline inflation is staying firm in the first half of the financial year and is expected to ease below 4% in the third and fourth quarters of FY21.
GDP growth in 2021 is estimated to remain in the negative territory, with some pickup in growth impulses in H2 2021 onwards. The end May 2020 release of NSO on national income should provide greater clarity, enabling more specific projections of GDP growth in terms of both magnitude and direction. Much will depend on how quickly the COVID curve flattens and begins to moderate.
The Reserve Bank also extended the loan moratorium period by another 3 months more to 31st of August. In March, the central bank provided a moratorium on all term loans due between 1st of March and 31st of May 2020. This will help borrowers, especially corporate, that have halted production and are facing cash flow problems to get more time to stabilize their operations and restart their units. All borrowers, including home loan, term loans and credit card outstandings, will get the benefit of the moratorium.
The lending institutions are being permitted to restore the margins for working capital to their original levels by 31st March 2020. This is one area where we had given 3 months time now. We are now giving time that the margins which the reduced margins, that will be restored by 31st March, which will make it easier for borrowers to sort of manage their finances, manage their cash flow in a gradual manner. Similarly, the measures pertaining to reassessment of working capital cycle are being extended up to 31st March 2021. Additionally, it has been decided to permit lending institutions to convert the accumulated interest on working capital facilities over the total deferment period of 6 months, that is from 1st March to 31st August, into a funded interest term loan which shall be fully repaid during the course of the current financial year ending 31st March 2021.
For the MSME sector to provide greater flexibility of SIDBI, 90-day extension for the 90-day term loan facilities will be offered by the RBI. Further, the RBI is ready to use all its instruments to address the concerns of the unknown future. A combination of monetary, fiscal and administrative measures is being undertaken by RBI, and the government will create conditions for a revival of economic activity in the second half of FY21. This is Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV. In some other news, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman met the chief executives of public sector banks on Friday. The meeting, held via video conferencing, was intended to review readiness of banks implementing the Atmanirbhar relief package announced by the government. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman chaired the meeting that was also attended by MOS Finance Anurag Thakur and the secretaries of the ministry. Novel coronavirus cases in India showed the biggest increase on Friday, crossing the 6,000 mark for the first time. The Union Health Ministry reported that this scaled up total infections is 1,18,447. 66,330 of these are active cases, while over 48,000 people have recovered, taking the recovery rate to 40.97%. There have been 6,088 new cases and 148 deaths in the past 24 hours. 3,583 patients have died so far. The ICMR has tested over 27 lakh samples. 1 lakh were tested on Thursday for the 4th day in a row. Uttar Pradesh reported 341 new COVID-19 cases, recording the highest single-day spike, taking the state's tally to 5,515. Most of the new patients are migrant workers who returned from Maharashtra. Bihar also has been showing an increase in cases since the lockdown restrictions were eased this month. On Thursday, the state reported 380 cases that were nearly 25% of its entire caseload till now. Migrant workers comprise over half of the Bihar's total cases. With close to 2,000 cases, more than half were discovered since last week. The maximum number of cases in India is from Maharashtra at 41,642. It is followed by Tamil Nadu at 13,967 and Gujarat at 12,905. Delhi, meanwhile, reported the biggest single-day jump of 660 new cases, taking total cases in the state to 12,319. Rajasthan confirmed 6,227 cases, while Madhya Pradesh has 5,981 cases. States with more than 2,500 cases of COVID-19 are West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh recorded 2,647 cases of the coronavirus disease and 53 deaths. In West Bengal, the number of COVID-19 cases is 3,197 and 259 deaths. Kerala has 690 coronavirus cases. 4 people have died while 510 people have successfully recovered. The Union Territory of Ladakh has witnessed 44 cases of coronavirus, of whom 43 people have recovered. All 33 coronavirus cases in Andaman and Nicobar Islands have also recovered. Meanwhile, the Karnataka government revised testing protocol for travellers from 6 high-risk states. All asymptomatic travellers from Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Delhi, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh will now be tested between the 5th and the 7th day of their arrival, and symptomatic travellers will be tested immediately on arrival. The government on Friday reiterated that the country has to learn to live with coronavirus. This was said in the context of the nationwide lockdown that has seen 4 phases so far. In a press briefing, V.K. Paul, chairman of the Empowered Group 1, formed for COVID-19 management, said the timely nationwide lockdown has achieved its purpose of containing the virus and in helping the country ramp up its health infrastructure.
पीपीईज की बात करें तो लगभग 30 लाख पीपीईज जो हैं वो स्टेट्स को दे जा चुकी हैं। 109 डोमेस्टिक मैन्युफैक्चरर्स आ गए हैं जो कोई भी नहीं थे ही नहीं, दूसरे व्यवसाय में थे, और उन्होंने 109 डोमेस्टिक हमारे देश के मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं और उनकी कैपेसिटी मुझे बताया गया है कि 3 लाख पर डे अब हो गई है। बाहर से भी मंगाए जा रहे हैं और इसकी कमी भी पूरी की जा रही है। इसी तरह से N95 जो स्टेट्स के पास 43 लाख N95 मास्क दिए जा चुके हैं, इसी तरह से वेंटिलेटर्स की कमी को भी पूरा करा जा रहा है बड़ी तेज़ी के साथ। और ये भी सीखा हमने कि वेंटिलेटर की नीड जो है वो कोविड के पेशेंट में उतनी ज़्यादा नहीं पड़ती जितनी कि हम शुरू में सोच रहे थे, उसकी चर्चा भी कभी करेंगे।
But Paul added that the lockdown could not be continued for an unlimited time and urged people to create headwinds needed to ensure the virus does not grow.
वायरस बढ़ता है मैथमेटिकल तरीके से, लेकिन उसकी मर्जी हम नहीं मानेंगे। देश उसकी मर्जी से नहीं चलेगा, हम उसके लिए रेजिस्टेंस पैदा करेंगे। अगर हम उदाहरण लें तो प्लेन चला होता तो हेडविंड क्रिएट करेंगे कि ये वायरस नहीं आगे जाने देंगे। और वो क्या हेडविंड है? वो हेडविंड है कि हम किस तरह से वो प्रैक्टिसेस करेंगे जो कि वायरस को मुश्किल करता है एक से दूसरे तक जाने के लिए। अल्टीमेटली तो दवाई होगी, वैक्सीन होगा, वो कवच हमारे पास नहीं है, लेकिन हम वायरस को आगे जो उसकी पुश है उसको उल्टी तरफ रोकने के लिए जो हम अपने सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग के स्टेप लेंगे उसमें हम कोई भी ढील नहीं दे सकते।
Sharing details of various mathematical models, the government estimates that at least 20 lakh more cases and 54,000 more deaths have been averted due to the timely implementation of the nationwide lockdown.
We have averted anything between 14 to 29 lakhs of cases and deaths between 37,000 to 78,000. Now this gives us confidence that we are on the right track, and with the containment measures, the way we are opening up the economy, the way the people have been sensitized, it will have a significant impact on the outcomes of the measures.
In an attempt to make a gradual return towards normalcy, the Indian Railways on Friday opened the reservation counters for booking tickets. This came after Union Minister Piyush Goyal announced that 200 passenger trains will run from the 1st of June. Ticket counters opened at many railway stations across the country today, a day after online booking for 200 special trains began. People visiting the railway stations have to wear masks and follow social distancing norms. Indian Railways also allowed booking of tickets through 1.7 lakh common service centres across the country. The special trains will be fully reserved with both AC and non-AC classes. General coaches will also have a reserved seat for sitting. The train will have no unreserved coach. Regular fare will be charged. General coaches will be charged second seating fare. All passengers have to wear masks and undergo thermal screening. India Post resumed bookings for international speed post to 15 countries and international tracked packet services to available destinations. In a tweet, Communication and IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad said delivery timelines will depend on the aviation services amid the COVID-19 pandemic. He also said booking for other international parcel and letters remain suspended. Meanwhile, the Sports Authority of India issued guidelines for resumption of sporting activities at SAI sports complexes. As per the SOP, the resumption will be in compliance with government guidelines on health, social distancing and hygiene. Athletes will have to sign consent forms. A COVID-19 task force will guide and monitor all trainees and staff at training centres. Sporting activity will take place in a staged fashion. While the initial phase will have small groups of less than 10 athletes, non-contact activities with social distancing will be carried out. There will be a gradual shift towards full contact training and competitions. And all athletes and coaches will mandatorily use the Arogya Setu app. And as part of the Vande Bharat mission, 7 special flights from the Gulf countries evacuated over 1,000 distressed and stranded Indians on Friday.
3 Air India flights from Dubai brought back as many as 404 Indians to Kochi, Hyderabad and Srinagar. This is the first flight from any of the Gulf countries to Jammu and Kashmir. The Dubai-Srinagar flight brought back 150 Indians, mostly elderly, those facing medical emergencies, pregnant women and people who have lost their jobs. The Doha-Bengaluru flight evacuated around 177 people, while the flights from Bahrain to Thiruvananthapuram and Muscat to Kannur evacuated 354 Indians. A flight from Riyadh to Hyderabad via Vijayawada will bring home around 150 passengers later tonight.
Since March, since my course is over and the campus is shut, I've been wanting to go back home and be with my family. And because of these repatriation flights, it has been possible. I'm very thankful for the efforts of the consulate and the embassy here. And I'm very glad that I can be home today. Thank you very much.
As many as 300 Indians arrived in Delhi from Kuala Lumpur at 7:30 p.m. The first Air India flight from Maldivian capital Male carrying 150 Indians arrived in Bengaluru at 7 p.m. Today's flights have brought people domiciled in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Another Air India flight will fly to Delhi from Male on Saturday. It will carry people from Delhi, Haryana and Chandigarh. Earlier, around 1,500 Indian nationals were evacuated from the country by 3 Indian Navy ships as part of Operation Samudra Setu.
Amid the novel coronavirus crisis, India was on Friday unanimously elected as the chair of WHO's executive board. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan took charge of the executive body from Dr. Hiroki Nakatani of Japan. Here are all the details. As chair of the World Health Organization's executive body, Dr. Harshvardhan will oversee the implementation of the decisions of the World Health Assembly that concluded this week. He will also receive the first copy of the report prepared by Secretary General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus about probe of origin of COVID-19 and the role of WHO. Dr. Harshvardhan took charge of the body in the 147th session virtually, for which in normal circumstances he would have gone to Geneva.
I feel deeply honored to have the trust and faith of all of you, India, and all my countrymen too feel privileged that this honor has been bestowed upon us. I have had a long personal association with WHO. I was privileged to come in contact with the organization way back in the early 90s during the initial years of my public life, when I was personally spearheading many missions in which we journeyed together and built an emotional bond.
Dr. Harshvardhan will have a one-year term as chairperson of the executive body of the World Health Organization and a 3-year term as member. His biggest responsibility would be to give political leadership to the organization that is mired in controversy due to the allegations against its Secretary General, Ghebreyesus, about siding with China. He would also have to ensure that WHO does not compromise its strengths and reorients itself in such a way that every nation can have confidence in its functioning. Dr. Poonam Khetrapal Singh, Regional Director of the WHO Southeast Asia, said that Dr. Harshvardhan has assumed this post at a very challenging time. I wish him all the best in steering the executive board as it addresses this defining pandemic and other public health issues.
There are fault lines in almost any health system. WHO is already providing thought leadership to the entire world in the sphere of public health, engaging in partnerships where joint action is needed, shaping the research agenda, and stimulating the dissemination of valuable knowledge. WHO believes in the principle that the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being without distinction of race, religion, political belief, economic or social condition. We therefore commit to work with the member states, the organization, and the global community of partners for the efficient, effective, and responsive discharge of public health obligations.
As a doctor himself, Dr. Harshvardhan has an advantage in understanding the issues facing the apex health body. His experience in politics will also help the WHO in navigating the troubled waters that WHO is passing through right now due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
The election of Dr. Harshvardhan as chairperson of the executive body of World Health Organization is an opportunity for India to establish its leadership role and quality. But the biggest challenge is how to persuade countries who had been badly affected by the deadly coronavirus and how to create confidence among nations who can think that WHO is an effective body to fight any pandemic and to guide nations. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television in Delhi.
Moving on, Congress Interim President Sonia Gandhi on Friday convened a virtual meeting of the opposition parties to discuss the condition of migrant workers in the country. She accused the government of turning a blind eye to the plight of the migrants who were walking thousands of kilometers to reach their homes amid the nationwide lockdown. Criticizing the government's 20 crore rupees relief package, Sonia Gandhi said the government doesn't have an exit strategy from the lockdown. The Congress president said many economists are predicting that 2020-2021 will end with a negative growth of up to -5%, adding that the consequences will be catastrophic for the country. In his remarks, Rahul Gandhi urged the government to immediately transfer 7,500 rupees into the bank accounts of poor labourers, migrant workers and the farmers. The meeting via video conference was attended by leaders of 22 parties. Prominent absentees from the opposition include Mayawati's Bahujan Samaj Party, Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav and Aam Aadmi Party's Arvind Kejriwal. It was the first such meeting of the opposition parties after the nationwide lockdown took effect on 25th of March. With lockdown measures more relaxed, people across the world are engaging more and more in social activities. Restaurants, bars, cafes and museums have reopened to public in many parts of the world. although people are adapting to the new safety measures as they return to their daily lives. American states have begun easing lockdown restrictions after a drop in average cases over the last week. Restaurants in New York City are readying themselves with temperature checks at the door, plastic dividers between tables, and sanitizer-infused towels to ensure safety when they resume service. In addition, beaches in several places including New Jersey have reopened with limited capacity and mandatory social distancing. In Italy's restaurants, waiters no longer hand out menus but hold up a scan code. Customers point their phones at it and a menu pops up on the screen, ensuring no physical contact. Bars and restaurants have reopened their terraces in most of Spain under strict hygienic measures. People are allowed to move freely around their province and gatherings up to 10 people has been permitted, albeit with social distancing. The French city of Cannes organized a drive-in cinema at a beachfront car park. People enjoyed the film from the comfort of their cars with popcorn on the dashboard and children hanging out the windows. Drive-in cinemas are seeing a revival in other places as well, like Lithuania, Dubai and the United States, among others. Besides, sports activities have resumed in many countries. Leicester City on Wednesday joined other English Premier League teams to resume training. England hopes to resume matches in June. Germany's Bundesliga Soccer League got underway from the 16th of May. In Thailand, shopping malls have installed foot pedals. The foot-operated elevator pedal system allows customers to step on instead of pressing the buttons to lower the risk of infection. Thailand began reopening malls and department stores since 17th of May. South Korean schools that shut over coronavirus concerns are set to reopen on Monday. High schools were reopened on Wednesday but closed within 2 hours after 2 COVID-19 cases were found among the student body. Meanwhile, more than 5.2 million COVID-19 cases have been reported worldwide so far, while over 3.3 lakh deaths have been registered. Is the COVID-19 virus changing? A new cluster of coronavirus cases in northeast China is showing a different manifestation among patients compared to the original outbreak in Wuhan. China recently reported these new clusters in the northeast provinces of Jilin and Heilongjiang. Doctors, however, say that the incubation period of the virus in patients of the northeast was longer than that of Wuhan, indicating that the virus has changed over time. According to them, this implies that the pathogen is changing in unknown ways and complicating efforts to stamp it out. However, experts say the differences could be due to the fact that the Chinese doctors are able to observe patients more thoroughly and from an earlier stage than Wuhan. Globally, researchers are trying to ascertain if the virus is mutating in a significant way as it races through the human population. In some other news, a Pakistan International Airlines flight from Lahore to Karachi crashed near the Jinnah International Airport in Karachi on Friday. Pakistani news channels reported that the plane crashed while approaching for landing. There were more than 90 passengers on board the Airbus aircraft. Eyewitnesses saw black smoke far from the crash site. One of the pilots said they had lost both the engines before crashing. The PIA flight PK-8303 went down in a densely populated residential area just short of the Jinnah International Airport. The aircraft, which was arriving from Lahore, was carrying 99 passengers and 8 crew members. And that is it in this edition of News Tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Good night and take care and stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. Bye for now.